I have found the art community space of my dreams. I have found a space where you can hang out with other creatives, do some co-working, host events, show your art, and so much more in New York City. Have you ever dreamed of a place where artists and creatives could come together and talk about art and theory in a space that was safe and intimate and beautiful? That space exists. It's called Salon 21. In today's episode, I am interviewing Alex Bass of Salon 21, the space where creatives can come savor delicious food and drink, see artwork by living emerging artists, and enjoy a living room like space where conversation is plenty and ideas are boundless. This is Salon 21. This is Brushwork. Alex Bass, welcome to Brushwork.
So much for having me on your podcast.
I was so delighted to see your space online and just see what a cool thing you're doing for artists and the community, and just how beautiful Salon 21 is. It's stunning. Listeners, if you haven't seen Salon 21, you should go check out their Instagram page, because also it's so well curated. It's beautiful.
Well, that means a lot because I do the Instagram and I design the space. Like I kind of do it all myself. So I don't take any compliments for granted. That it all means a lot to me and it's a lot of work. So I appreciate it.
For my first question today, for people who don't know Salon 21, can you describe what the space is?
Exactly. More than happy to. So Salon 21 is a fine art and interior design studio space. So it is by appointment for the exhibitions that we have on view, which rotate monthly. So like a traditional gallery, we showcase visual art that graces the walls of the space and is for sale. But unlike your traditional white-walled gallery space that's on the street level, we are 2 flights up in Soho in Manhattan, and you book an appointment to come, and each month we rotate that artwork. But while the shows are up, we do a really fun array of events ranging from the exhibition openings themselves, artist talks, panels, but it really is more than just what I felt like the art world was offering in terms of a gallery experience. It's really a space for conversation first and foremost, and trying to build a community between emerging artists and new collectors and people who have had no exposure to the art world but want that point of entry. And the space itself is designed to feel like you're just walking into your friend's cool apartment who happens to have rotating exhibitions on the walls and hosts fun cocktail parties and dinner parties. We were looking for this third floor space, something that feels a bit off the beaten path that you can kind of come in and discover and feels intimate. So that is Salon 21.
That is magical. That is exactly what I want here in Seattle, because I want to go to Salon 21 so badly.
Maybe we could build one in Seattle and have,
The Seattle chapter.
Yeah. West Coast and an East Coast chapter.
You have a show happening right now with Brianna Lance, is that right?
Yes.
Her work is very floral. It's very beautiful. She's a self-taught artist. Shout out to Brianna. And you just had the opening for that. What was that like?
The opening was amazing. Something that was really funny about it was how I met her was at an opening we did in February with the artist Mark Ormitano Domingo, who is a friend of mine. And she came to his opening to support. She had known him for a while. We got to talking. She told me she was an artist. I ended up looking up her work, fell in love with it. And then at her opening, he came to support. So it was a really fun showing of artists who I've met and worked with for, almost over a year now, and a reminder of the community that we're trying to build. So the opening itself was super fun. Brianna is someone with many friends in all different sectors of fashion, art. Like her background is in the fashion industry, and she only started painting during the pandemic, really full time as a fine artist. So it's cool to see kind of at these exhibition openings for any of the artists we work with, the people who come out from all different parts of their lives and their different kind of career paths, whether it's art school or not, or, whatever it might be. So the opening was great. And that was our first event of the fall as well. So coming back to the city after a long summer it really is true that kind of the summer in the art world is quiet, and coinciding with New York Fashion Week here and a lot of other fun things going on. It's fun to have that opening be the second week of September and just kick off fall.
Artists are such great connectors, they're such great networkers, and I once read in a book that artists really transcend social boundaries. They can connect with all sorts of people, and I think that builds for great communities. Was there a specific event that really inspired you to build Salon?
Yes, kind of a series of like experiences, but I think first and foremost, my passion for art history and studying it in school
Okay.
and learning about kind of similar to what you just said, time periods when artists were those connectors and there were matrons of the arts. And I like to use that word matron instead of as the patriarchal male connotation,
We love it.
um, like a Gertrude Stein in the 1920s, who brought not just visual artists like Picasso or Matisse into her home, but all different types of artists, writers, obviously, like Hemingway, the surrealists, and all different kinds of forms into her home. Salon means living room, and was basically pioneering a new model of the salon concept, which dates way further back historically to like the 1600s. I went to college in the city. What existed around me at that time that felt like a Gertrude Stein salon, that felt like a
Yeah.
space for both artists and creative types to come together. It really didn't feel like there was anything like that. And so being in school in the city, I had a lot of friends who were in art schools in the city, obviously a great place to be starting out in your art
Totally.
career. And I started talking to them and they didn't know what path they wanted to be on, if they really wanted to do the traditional gallery model. And I think they were really just looking for ways to show their work and get feedback on it. And I felt like there needed to be more of an informal space for those types of conversations to happen. And then
Mhm.
also for someone like me or you who maybe wants to start collecting art for their home at more affordable price points, but also wants to be involved in a younger or emerging artist's career journey, and say, I bought that piece X many years ago and that was the start of it. And being a part of that and pioneering artist journeys and starting our own collections. So long-winded answer, but just a lot of different ideas and experiences coming together at the same time, conjoined with what I was learning academically and trying to apply that to the contemporary art world in New York.
You are uniquely equipped to do this. I feel like some people have the idea of wanting to create a space like this, but you have the education, but also the drive to do this and the ability to connect people and the definitely the eye for how it should look. I feel like how a space should look is really important. Art transforms how you feel in a space, and design is such a huge thing. Can you tell me a little bit about your design philosophy?
Sure. I don't know if it's maybe a concrete philosophy, but
Sure.
I'm really more of a maximalist. I feel like a home is not a home without art. So part of the reason why Salon 21 is designed to feel like an apartment, if you will, is because I want to show people how they can live with a piece of art. I think it's very hard for majority of the people who want to collect when they go into a gallery and see a piece just on a white wall
Yeah.
to be to envision that in their home. And it is for me as well. I want to give people the opportunity to, while they're in the space, feel like they're interacting with the piece as if it's in their home already. They're socializing, eating, drinking around it, obviously,
Right.
being protective, but and having conversations around it. And like that is what art should be in your home. It should be a focal point, a source of conversation for people you have over, a source of conversation for yourself every day. That the artwork I have in my home, when I look at it, I feel like I see something new in it every day or inspires me in different ways every day. And that interaction doesn't, I feel like, happen in your traditional gallery space. So my philosophy with design for Salon 21 specifically keeps that integral and in mind through all the exhibitions that we do.
That's awesome. That's so comforting. I feel like a lot of times I'm a painter myself, and a lot of times I'll have a client come to me and they'll be like, "This is the first time I've bought an original piece of art, or a commission, or something like that." And I'm always curious as to what makes someone want to buy a piece of art, especially for the first time. It's a big deal. and the connection they feel to it matters a lot. And sometimes they see work staged in a house that's for sale, or they'll be in an office, but somewhere that is like lived around. It's genius. It's genius. It's really cool.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I love your passion for what I'm doing, and that's what makes it fun is just um, hearing that there's a need for this and trying to just feed off of that energy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. What are some art communities that you've been a part of in the past that kind of have helped you grow?
I think that word can mean so many things. I mean,
Mhm.
I've in art communities in terms of like my coworkers in the art world who I've worked
Totally.
with previously. And then I've been in these more informal art communities. I just mentioned when I was in undergrad in the city and I was building connections with artists who were in art schools in the city and fell into those communities, going to local exhibition openings, going to their studios. I think I've just really gotten inspiration from everywhere in New York, whether it was my art community at work and that's a bit different in a traditional art community, but learning about the different pathways that you can take in the art world and then directly being involved with artists and going to their studios and meeting their inner circles. Some other art communities just came to mind are memberships to museums. That's inspired me my whole life and that I feel like everyone should visit, hopefully at least once in their life. If like you could spend a week just going to the Met every day and still not see
It's so
everything.
true.
And I joined the Apollo Circle. It's for younger members, and they do a lot of really fun events after hours where you can get in and see exhibitions without a line and all of that. And for me, it's just so important to donate and give back to our cultural institutions here because of
Yeah.
how I grew up with them and they shaped me and how important I think arts education is at large. So I love being part of that community. And another one I'm a part of, a nonprofit organization, is called Free Arts. And so
Mm.
we give arts education to local public schools and other community centers in Manhattan and the broader New York City area. We educate students in the arts in a very fun, informal way who don't have those resources at school. I mean, arts funding is constantly on the decline. And
Yep.
I just about how fundamental that was in shaping me. And I'm sure it was for you. And so to think of a student in school who might have that love of drawing or they're just creative, but they don't even know how to channel it and that they don't
Right.
have like even just 30-minute art class built into their schedule. It's something that I really value and want to be able to advocate for. So that is a community that I joined recently that I'm really excited about.
That's awesome. That's really
Yeah.
cool. I have a few from my own history. I started a art book club many years ago where I had some friends from a one-off class I was taking at Gage Academy here in Seattle, and I was like, "Let's meet up once a month. We're gonna read a book. We're gonna have dinner," and it was like really fun and cute. We stayed together for like 2 years, and then it dissolved. But that's how book
Here's
clubs
a
go.
good amount of time to get people to commit to doing something. I mean, we
Oh
did
my
a
gosh.
book club when we first opened Salon 21,
Mhm.
and I might bring it back. I think the summer everyone's traveling and they didn't
Yeah.
want to really commit to it, but that was one of the best things we did.
Yeah.
Just to talk about like having a specific, guideline for a conversation, which would be that book, obviously. What kind of books did you choose for the group? Were they
They were all
like,
about art. So it was art theory, art history, art business,
yeah, that's
biography. Yeah.
part of what we did. Yeah. Well, let's bring it back. Maybe we could do it virtually and kind of get rid of the traveling pants, but with books and
I
we can,
love it.
uh, I'm down.
There's another one, and I'm like, maybe you should do this with the salon. There's this thing called Silent Book Club. Have you heard of this?
I have not heard of that.
Okay, it's huge in Seattle. So basically the idea is you just go in and you read with each other. Basically, you go to a coffee shop and you bring your own book and you spend an hour reading with a bunch of strangers who are also reading a book. And there's like 30 minutes of discussion and then an hour of reading and then 30 minutes of just like socializing. And then you carry on your way. This thing has grown so much that they have like 8 coffee shops doing it at the same time because there's just so much spillover. It's nuts. It's really cool.
I love that. And I love, again, just the idea of building community around conversation, the umbrella of arts and culture,
Yeah,
which often includes literature. I'm so game to try that.
it's so cute. I'll send you a link about it later. It's very,
Yeah.
very fun. So You have such a cool space. It's maximalist, but it's also a little bit Art Deco, which I think is very cool, especially when I looked at your design on your website, which is also hecking cool.
Yeah. Shout to my web designer, my graphic designer. She lives in Colorado and probably gets a million emails from me a day and is able to sit through them. But she was able to execute my vision with that and did it just so well. I mean, our color is red, hence me wearing this red cardigan.
Love it.
Uh, I don't know, it feels very regal. I love red. And we were able to incorporate all these Art Deco and Art Museum motifs into the font, into some of the backgrounds on the website and other little ligatures and features. As a person who is in a creative space, all of those little things are fun for me to be able to deal with and try to dip my toes into everything. But I do not have the technical graphic design or computer programming background that she has. So she's very talented.
You might not have those, but you do have the taste to be like, yes, that's it. So you're a curator of design here. When you were making the space of Salon 21, what were some of your priorities when you were designing it? Outside of, I want this to be a living room type space, what were something that was important?
I think seating was really important for me. I
Mhm.
feel like galleries are kind of, and even museum galleries just have a bench. And I don't really ever decide that I'm going to go sit on that bench and stare at this piece of art. It's also far away from the piece of art typically. So I'll just probably end up sitting on that bench when I need to rest my legs for a bit. But I wanted to bring in furniture that was useful. And so we have a really fun conversation pit style sofa that I feel like is a great place for people to gather during exhibition openings and all of the events that we put on to just sit around. So everyone's kind of facing one another and it kind of forces conversation in that way versus just like chairs and ottomans scattered throughout the space. So I love that element of it. And then we have a dining table in the middle, which gets used for our dinner parties and other events that we put on as well. Thinking about making it an apartment, but also thinking about making it super functional in ways that your apartment kind of more or less functions just for the people who live there and sometimes to entertain. But this is really about entertaining. So there are
Yeah.
certain design aspect that you want to consider.
You have some really cool events coming up, and one that's happening tomorrow as of the publication date of this episode, which is co-working and
Yeah.
arts and crafts. Can you tell me about those?
I can, yes. In the fall of last year when we first started, we were doing after work figure drawing sessions and some other arts and crafts type activities. And I figured there's so many of us now who freelance or work full time from home who
Mhm.
maybe want a different space that's not a coffee shop or like a membership type of co-working space to be able to get out of their home and work from. So
Mhm.
what we're doing is built into the same price we were charging previously just for the figure drawing is you have now access to Salon 21 at that dining table, which I just mentioned, to sit and work from for most of the day, maybe chat with the person sitting next to you, network a bit, or just make headway on your to-do list and get to clock 0, whatever you
Yeah.
need to do. Then around 5 o'clock, close your computer or your notebook and unwind with a beverage of your choice and an art activity. So we have figure drawing for the first one. And then I believe the next one is collaging, which I just kind of bought a bunch of vintage magazines from on eBay and supplied. They either bring your own notebook or use what we're providing and get creative. And then we also are doing a little watercolor one as well later, I think in November. So they're not really classes as much as just activities. And obviously, I'm there to provide any guidance that's really kind of just about tapping into your creativity, unwinding after work before you go home, which I think is really important. And hopefully getting to meet somebody cool.
I love the idea of having something to help stimulate a conversation. If I throw like a dinner party at my house, I will put out a puzzle on the table, or I'll put out something where people can fiddle with their hands and the greatest conversations happen. It's magic.
I have to try the puzzle idea at my next dinner party because I love doing puzzles and I kind of just do them in isolation.
Yeah.
And then someone will come over and then put a piece in and then we'll start talking. And I never thought about doing it doing it more intentionally like you're
Do
doing.
it. It's so
That's
much fun.
fabulous. Yeah. You're always that person who just walks in the room and finds that one piece that you've been searching for like a week, and
Uh-huh.
it's like that fresh set of eyes.
I think after a long workday, that's exactly what I want to do. So,
Oh,
listener, if you are interested, you should sign up for co-working. They have limited spots, but you can get them on the website, which will be linked below. You mentioned earlier you've got dinners that you do. What are those? Tell me more.
sure. So we put dinner parties on the calendar, maybe monthly. We'll work with an up and coming chef in the city, and those are limited spots. It's very intimate. We don't have a huge space, so our dining table seats 14 people, and we'll either theme them around maybe the exhibition that's on view, or do it in conjunction with maybe another brand or a partner and collaborate on a guest list that way, or open it up through tickets on our website. I feel like the dinner party concept is very popular right now, but want to do it at Salon 21 so that it's very focused around the artwork that's on the wall. So I think the dinner parties that we're going to do in the future will have the artist present so that there's a bit of an artist talk built into the dinner, an exciting offering.
Having a having a dinner in a gallery almost. And
Yeah, exactly.
it's very fun. What sort of events are you planning on having in the future?
This fall, we have our exhibition calendar fully planned out, and that's available on our website. Amazing lineup of female artists. And then while their exhibitions are on view, we are doing a series of panels ranging from topics from how to start an art collection to the future of AI in art and other creative industries
Oh,
to
cool.
build community. And then we are also going to be having a panel in October around women's health and reproductive rights and bodily autonomy around the exhibition that will be on view, which also talks a lot about that visually. Other than the panels, we will be continuing the co-working and craft series, which you mentioned. And just a few other fun events scattered. In December, we will be having a holiday market where it will be all sort of home decor goods that'll be set up in the salon space in situ. So around, on the dining table will be tableware for sale, on the sofa,
Cool.
clothes for sale, and so on and so forth. So me really envisioning how I would maybe design my home. And I always think that the perfect gift around the holidays is something for the home. So we're calling it Home for the Holidays.
Stop, that's adorable.
Like a Hallmark movie.
You might fall in love.
You might fall in love with me. You're gonna fall in love with the beautiful glassware.
It's
It's
gonna be amazing.
gonna be amazing.
That's so cute. Speaking of things for sale, I know you have a shop on your website, but does Salon 21 have merch?
We do have merch, and I should put it on the website.
Yeah.
I'm overdue to update the site. We do. We just had our 1 year anniversary party this Tuesday, and we made really
Congratulations.
custom tote bags. And we have some extras of. We have baseball caps that say collector, creator, artist, tastemaker, and a lot of fun other
I need
things.
that.
So perfect. Okay, you're the for me finally adding or getting to that on my to-do list. I'll update the shop then with those items. And that'd be so cool to see people repping Salon 21 on the West Coast.
Well, congratulations on your first year. That's amazing.
So much. Thank you. I'm trying to take it all in.
What do you think has made the space really successful?
I think just the people, like
Mhm.
even at our 1 year party, I'm like, this isn't just a celebration of like Salon 21 or me or anyone else who's helped, create it on the back end, but it's a celebration of everyone in the room because Salon 21 is about community
Yeah.
and in the name itself. And so I think what's just been the most successful is being able to get such a great group of people looking forward to seeing who comes to our future events and just that momentum of building community. As much as I put in work on our social media and all the other forms of marketing, I think what's tried and true is word of mouth, and that takes time. And so it's really about grabbing your friend and saying, "Hey, let's sign up for this together."
Mhm.
Or I just went to this cool exhibition. You should come check it out. And that kind of just word of mouth marketing takes time but is the most impactful. And it's so exciting to see someone come because they said that their friend told them to come and that they really had a great experience. And it's not just an ad or something they saw. So
Right.
uh, that is the most, well, yeah.
That's perfect. I feel like doing things with your friends makes any experience better. So you're just like, I'm taking a class, but now I'm taking a class with my best friend. Let's go.
And being alone, like, I think this city is so unique because there are a lot of things that like arts and cultural things you can do by yourself. I mean, I love going to a gallery or a museum by myself, and even the co-working and crafts event, I think is a good idea of something you could attend alone and easily connect with someone during and hopefully walk away with a new friend, but always encouraged to come with old friends and make new friends.
I love it. When you're looking back on the last year, is there anything that you would have done differently having this experience?
I think I'm still processing the 1 year mark when
Yeah,
thinking of what I would do differently. But I think kind of obvious to me now is when I think you first start any business, you want to dip your toes into everything. And we were really putting so many events on the calendar when we first started, jam packing them in. And every time we met someone really cool who wanted to collaborate with us, we kind of just said yes to everything. And that is so important when you first start, though, because you don't want to limit yourself in terms of opportunities and who you meet. But I think then once you do that and burn yourself out a little, then you
totally.
realize, okay, this one really worked. This one we could put on the back burner. What I am doing differently is just trying to be more cognizant of how much I have time for personally, but also what I think our audience really wants, maybe what we don't need to put on the calendar again. And then also leaving space for new things to pop up because people do also rent out our space for private events or brand functions. And so we don't want to have too many dates booked up on the calendar where we can't do that really cool thing that might come out of left field. So
Right.
staggering things correctly, calendar wise, and also just kind of leaving that room to grow and explore and try new things and not overwhelm our audience or not overwhelm me with an overwhelming list of events and just really focusing on making, the maybe 3 events that we have next month the best they can be.
Really quality. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. It's so easy to get burned out when you're saying yes to so much,
No, especially when you're meeting so many cool artists and people, it's hard to
right?
be like, no, and it's not no, I don't want to do this. It's just no, I don't have the capacity to do
Right.
this now. And I think a lot of people understand because you're in a similar situation, running this podcast, like it's a lot.
It's a lot. And knowing when to niche down makes
Yeah.
everything better. And knowing when to say no to things, even if the idea is just so cool and you're like, oh, maybe we could try do this, but you're just like, I gotta kind of commit to things I've already said yes to and give them your attention because they deserve it. And it's good. It's good to niche down.
I like that term, niche down.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great way of putting it. I'm gonna put that in my vocabulary.
Love it. Can you walk me through what a day in the life of a Salon 21 owner is like?
Sure. I mean, it changes every day, but I can even just walk you through today.
Walk me through
So,
today.
okay, so I'm still really just tired from planning Tuesday's event. But so I think really a lot of what I do every day is making sure all the ducks are in the right row for the next event that's coming up. Whether it's the co-working and crafts or
Yeah.
that's like a private event where brand's renting out our space for dinner or something like that, or the art exhibition. So whatever's next on the calendar obviously gets my primary focus. Being a founder is, I think the cliche is it's not as glamorous as it seems, but it is very true. And I obviously have the benefit of kind of having my own schedule. So woke up early to do laundry and make sure my apartment was clean and
Mhm.
get excited about our podcast and then going back to the space, cleaning up from the event from the previous night, reorganizing it, getting everything back in its home. And oh my God, emails, so many emails.
Emails are days.
Emails for days. It's just constantly checking in with the artists who are on view, making sure that they feel good, managing client appointments. So you can visit Salon 21. It's open to anyone. It's by appointment. So you just have to go online and send me an email and let me know when you want to come see the show. So it's just kind of getting people scheduled, planning out our social media and email marketing. I mean, it really ranges. So it's constantly toggling between what's in the forefront, which is the next event coming up, the next exhibition coming up, and then the back end work, obviously, to keep Salon 21 running. But yeah, the day to day, just it's day to day. It
Day to
changes.
day. It changes. The greatest joke about being a business owner is that you're like, "Oh, I am full control of my time, which really translates to I'm in full control of the amount of time I don't have.
Oh my God, exactly. I don't know what I would do without Google Calendar.
You've just finished your first year. What do you think is Salon 21 is going to be like in 5 years?
That is such a hard question, but an important one. So, like I said, I think I'm still digesting the 1 year mark and what that means. And it's really actually only 1 year being in this physical space. So, Salon 21 actually started, I would say, 6 years ago when I graduated from undergrad
Mhm.
and started that. I had that idea, like I was mentioning in the beginning, from art history classes, meeting artists in the city. And so I was just kind of doing that through like more of a pop up model. And
Yeah.
so having the physical space now is obviously such a game changer and something to celebrate 1 year of doing. I think in 5 years, I don't even know if it's about other locations, but maybe maybe breaking into the art fair market in a way that feels different and exciting, showcasing emerging artists in more places. Maybe it's me running some of our events that do really well in our space in other cities and other people's spaces. I don't know what it holds, and I'm excited about that because I also want to be in the moment and kind of take those opportunities as they come our way. I think something that our team is thinking about a bit is making Salon 21 not just an exhibition space and showroom space, but maybe also an artist studio space.
Ooh.
So maybe it is about having a larger space, which is something I have to consider, but a space where artists can come and work and then have our exhibition space be there to support them and then really kind of be more holistic with the journey from the inception of the artwork to the exhibitioning of that work. So I think that would be a dream, and we'll see maybe when we get there.
An artist in residence would be so fun. I would apply for that. That sounds like a good time.
Amazing.
My last question is, if you were giving advice to someone who wanted to start a community like this in their city, what's something you would say to them?
I would say go for it. I would say, and as cliche as this sounds, since COVID, we've all really want in-person community. And so I think that don't think you're the only person who thinks this is a good idea. I would say start talking with friends about it, start talking with other people about it, and you're going to get that reinforcement that's like, oh my God, yeah, that's really needed. Yeah, I'm really excited about that. So if there's a space in your town, like you were saying, maybe it's a bookshop or a coffee shop or
Mhm.
a, that feels like a great kind of cultural hub for you, maybe go to them and propose an idea. Maybe it's a art workshop. Business owners are always trying to do new things to get in new audiences. If you're just looking for community, like how you just mentioned, have dinner parties where you put puzzles out and spark
Yeah.
new conversation. Actually, a fun thing we did a few months ago with some of our cocktail parties or dinner parties to encourage people to feel like they could come without a plus one was have them fill out a little informal questionnaire beforehand where just like, how long have you lived in the city?
Cute.
What industry do you work in? What's your favorite food? And then I almost kind of did professional matchmaking in that way. So when you walked in, I gave you a list of a few people who I think you might get along with. So that
Oh my
provided
gosh.
icebreaker. So I feel like more places could kind of do that to encourage people who are maybe moving to a new city or who have lived in the same city for a long time who just want to make new friends to be able to do things alone that don't feel lonely.
Love it. Alex, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It was lovely talking to you, and I hope to make it out to Seattle soon.
Heck yeah. All right. Goodbye, everyone. Thanks for listening to Fresh Wind.
Thanks.